I'm playing something almost every week, and sometimes I want to talk about it and give you a vertical slice. So stick with me for some lightning reviews. This week on the chopping block. This week I've been playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Given that I've been frequently using its built-in benchmark to test PCs that I've been showcasing, I figured it was only appropriate to actually experience the game at least once, especially with the freshly completed doubler build from last week. In fact, I endeavored to try to play most of the game on the doubler. This will prove to have been a bad idea, and you'll hear about that in due time, but I guess you can also consider this a secondary review for the doubler in practice. Anyway, let's focus on one of gaming culture's preferred perky polygonal protagonists with Lara Croft, archaeologist, adventurer, and serial murderer. We start the adventure in medias res with Lara and company in an active plane crash. It was this opening sequence that led me to one train of thought to which I'll give away one of my conclusory points now. I cannot take this game seriously. As a narrative experience, Lara seemingly has plot armor capable of absorbing direct impacts from artillery fire. If anything, I was laughing at the absurdity and factual non-survivability of the situation Miss Croft finds herself in. From the aforementioned plane crash to falls from various ruins she's climbing around, to other various trauma inflicted on her from natural to man-made. If Lara has a guardian angel, he's working overtime. Some instances of her danger are somewhat effective in ratcheting tension, like when she has to swim through narrow crevices, but it happens enough in the exploration phase where it loses impact with each occurrence. Speaking of things that have lost their impact, I recall playing the original reboot Tomb Raider from 2013 and how she had a brief moment of psychological trial when confronted with taking a human life, before shifting to the attitude of a newly formed Rambo. Well, here Lara's character has evolved to regard any life in her way as expendable without any need for further concern. I wouldn't focus much on this aspect if it weren't for the fact she seems so into it, slitting throats and stringing people up as she goes. Actually, very early in my playthrough, I had a thought enter my mind, and I ruminated on it as I played. Lara Croft, as portrayed in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, might be one of the most mentally unwell protagonists I've ever played as. Trust me, I get the it's a video game argument, but these modern Tomb Raiders seem to be in part an exploration of the character, and judging her reactions and interpretations of the world around her, she is insane. The opening tsunami sequence was a good illustration of this to me. From the action of surviving a mass casualty event, which she thinks she caused, by the way, the level of reaction to certain happenings seems like she'd be appropriately distraught, but a few minutes later she's arguing that her archaeological quest must take priority. This is further reinforced when we see her original story, where we find her father's gray matter freshly scattered via ballistics around his den. Lara Croft doesn't need adventuring, she needs therapy, is what I would say if I was taking this game seriously. There are several other things I could harp on, such as plot contrivances that cause sequences to not make much sense, to secret indigenous societies deep in the rainforest speaking perfect English, to the usual Indiana Jones Uncharted-style ancient technology being perfectly functional, but after a time, I forced my brain into a standby mode to just try and appreciate the game as it was, and I'll admit, it's far from the worst thing I've played. It also looks damn good. That's mostly why I wanted to play on my doubler machine, to give it a nice stress test, because on max settings, Shadow of the Tomb Raider can look really damn good. I just wish I could have fully appreciated it until the end. You see, the doubler, as I alluded to in its feature video, is not a stable machine, and most Tomb Raider gameplay session conclusions were not caused by natural story breaks or fatigue, but hard machine crashes. Now, I'm fairly certain I was getting close to the end, but then the machine had a series of crashes and f***ups that ultimately corrupted my save, which it then uploaded that save to the cloud. Through some strategic manipulation of my other machines, I managed to get a save file back, but it cut my in-game progress by about half of my playtime, and at this time, I have no desire to reclaim my lost progress. I'll keep working on the doubler in the meantime, but f*** it for that grief. Anyway, back to Tomb Raider. I was enjoying it enough where I'll probably go back and try to finish it at some point for if nothing else than to finish the story once I've had some time to cool off, but it's far from a life-changing title for me. It seems to be a prime example of what Benjamin Croshaw would call a ghost train ride experience. A semi-linear experience broken into 3 main phases of engagement with the fully expected additions of leveling and crafting mechanisms. It's a perfectly average, perfectly functional, perfectly adequate time killer. Enough to engage, but not to engross. Well, so long as you're not playing it on janky Chinese hardware and decade-old defunct tech. The area it excels at the most is visual spectacle, and if you just want a game that can look pretty, you'll be quite at home. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go focus on some far more stable hardware for next week. Hey, thanks for sticking around all the way to the end. Remember that I give away Steam keys with my regular weekly uploads, and all you have to do to enter is leave a comment and have contact info on your YouTube profile. But as always, thanks for watching and keep your head on your shoulders.